Sources say there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom were killed off in Endgame. I hate that. There was that Variety article that dropped right before the initiative stream, and I was like, hey, you know what? Why don't I just, go through it right now with you guys? This dropped, a half hour before our stream yesterday, something like that. But crisis at Marvel. Jonathan Majors' backup plans, the Marvel's reshoots, reviving original Avengers, and more issues. Let's see if we can break down some of it. Variety's a fairly reliable source, so let's see what's up. Ooh, and they have an option to listen to it?
Crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Majors' backup plans, the Marvel's reshoots, reviving original Avengers, and more issues revealed. Next article. Meg Ryan's comeback,
Wow, so this have the title? Really? Okay. Let's learn about Meg Ryan, guys. Alright, so here, I guess we'll have my lovely voice for this thing. I know you all are thrilled. You're like, yes, Bob's silky smooth voice will read through this article with us. Sorry, there's some stuff this art. Let's see. It's actually longer than I remember. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to attempt this, guys. This is a hell of a thing to try to barrel through, but we're going to figure out all the details of this article here. This past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand, owned by Disney since 2009, has remade the entertainment business in its image. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars, and a question about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. Okay, so a couple thoughts in here. A series of disappointments on screen. Let's think. I assume they're talking about box office wise, and yeah, the box office numbers have been lower for Phase 4, but they haven't been bomb level, and Marvel has been outperforming most everything else. So I'd be interested, but at the same time, wouldn't surprise me if they're kind of freaking out over that, because studios love to freak out over that, so maybe they are. From my perspective, it's not killing it, but it's doing better than everything else. So, doing something right. Now, the legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars. That was Scarlett Johansson, if you remember. The rights to Black Widow. What happened was, essentially, she part of her deal was that she got part of the box office for Black Widow. But, they decide pretty much to do Black Widow in the theaters, but on Disney Plus at the same time. You could directly buy the thing on Disney Plus. And she wasn't looped in on that deal at all. That pissed her off. Logically so. That was bullshit what they did to her. If they want to do that, that's fine. But they pull her aside and they work out a deal with her so they can do that. Just doing that without asking her was garbage. And questions about the viabilities of the studio's ambitious strategy to... Oh, yeah. The Disney Plus stuff. Which, to my understanding, was something kind of hoisted on it, so I don't know how fair it is to blame Marvel Studios for that. Oh. But yeah. Anyways. The most pressing issue to be discussed at the retreat was what to do with Jonathan Majors, the actor who had been poised to carry the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but instead is headed to a high-profile trial in New York later this month on domestic violence charges. Yeah. I wouldn't know what to do either. Jonathan Majors, in my opinion, is a great actor, but yeah, this is a tricky situation. The actor insists he is the victim, but the damage to his reputation and the chance he could lose the case has forced Marvel to reconsider its plans to center to the next phase of the interlocking slate of sequels, spin-offs, and series around Major's villainous character, Kang the Conqueror. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, in a pinch, they could definitely recast Kang. Like, No Way Home established that not all the variants have to be played by the same actor, so... But I'm also certain they actually probably have Majors locked into a major contract, and they probably have to pay some money to get him out, so... we have to see. Although there's probably an escape clause in that contract saying that, if he's convicted, then they could do something. I don't know. Like, this is all stuff I'm speculating. This is all speculation for me at this point. Like, the article is just bringing up stuff, and I'm just speculating. At the gathering in Palm Springs, executives discussed backup plans, including pivoting to another comic book adversary like Doctor Doom. But making any shift would carry its own headaches. Majors was already a big presence in the MCU, including as the scene-stealing antagonist in February's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And he has been positioned as the franchise's next big thing in this season of Loki, particularly in the finale, which airs on November 9th, and sets up Kang as the titular star of the 5th Avengers film in 2026. Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle, says one top deal maker who has seen the final Loki episode, and they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently because of the WGA strike. But I don't see a path to how they move forward with him. Beyond the bad press for Majors, the brain trust at Marvel is also grappling with the November release of The Marvels, a sequel to the 2019 blockbuster Captain Marvel, which has been plagued with lengthy reshoots and now appears likely to underwhelm at the box office. Yeah, we have to see. The projections for Captain Marvel aren't great at all. Well, geez, my chat's way more active than it appears. All right. Sorry, I wasn't in chat. I was wondering why everybody was so silent while I read through this. This is all an unprecedented turn of fortune for a company that has enjoyed a nearly uninterrupted string of hits ever since it started independently producing its movies with 2008's Iron Man. That wildly profitable run culminated in the $2.8 billion success of 2019's Avengers Endgame, a high watermark for the studio that has earned nearly $30 billion over 32 films. Replicating that kind of phenomenon is never easy. However, the source of Marvel's current troubles can be traced back to 2020. That's when the COVID pandemic ushered in a mandate to help boost Disney's stock prices, with an endless torrent of interconnected Marvel content for the studio's fledgling streaming platform, Disney+. According to the plan, there would never be a lapse in superhero fare, with either a film or in theaters or a new television series streaming at any given moment. Wow, that's intense. But the ensuing tsunami of spandex proved to be too much of a good thing, and the demand of churning out so much programming taxed the Marvel's apparatus. Moreover, the need to tease out an interwoven storyline over so many desperate shows, movies, and platforms created a muddled narrative that baffled viewers. The Marvel machine was pumping out a lot of content. Did it get to a point where there was just too much, and they were burning people out on superheroes? It's possible, says Wall Street analyst Eric Handler, who covers Disney. The more you do, the tougher it is to maintain quality. They tried experimenting with breaking in some new characters like Shang-Chi and Eternals, with mixed results. With budgets as big as these, you need home runs. Now that is a big issue, I think. The budgets for these movies have gone fucking huge, and it does come with the territory where, like, especially like some of these actors who have been here for a while, they're gonna get a big paycheck. I mean, would be part of the argument not to bring back Robert Downey Jr. because, like, he was getting paid for those last few movies. He's a solid part of Avengers budgets, I'm sure. The Marvels, which opens in theaters on November 10th, will struggle to get the ball past the infield, at least by Marvel's outsized standards. The movie, which cost $250 million sees Brie Larson reprising her role as Captain Marvel. Is tracking to open to 75 to 80 million, far below the 185 million Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness took in domestically in its debut weekend last year. Directed by Nia DaCosta, The Marvels unites Larson's heroine with two superpowered allies, Teno Paris, Monica Rambeau, introduced in 2021's Disney Plus series WandaVision, and Aman Vellani's Kamala Khan, first seen in the 2022 series Miss Marvel. But instead of the seamless building on the success of Captain Marvel, this movie resulted in 4 weeks of reshoots to bring coherence to a tangled storyline. Okay. I don't like that phrasing, because all these movies are going to have reshoots. All big budget movies are going to have reshoots, guys. Like, to bring coherence to a tangled storyline, that's just a weird way to phrase it. Then eyebrows were raised again when DaCosta began working on another film while The Marvels was still in post-production. The filmmaker moved to London earlier this year to begin prepping for her Tessa Thompson drama Hedya. A representative for DaCosta declined to comment. If you're directing a $250 million movie, it's kind of weird for a director to leave with a few months to go, says a source familiar with the production. Like, we kind of need details on that. I don't know. Yeah, no, like, if they're busy working on stuff and she leaves, yeah, that's weird. But, like, if the movie's kind of just done and maybe just, like, needs some touch-up from special effects, it seems fine. I don't know. The Marvels has seen its release date moved back twice. Once to swap places with Quantumania, which was deemed further along, and another when its debut shifted from July to November to give filmmakers more time to tinker. But that extra time didn't necessarily help. In June, Marvel, which traditionally only solicits feedback from Disney employees and their friends and family, took the uncharacteristic step of holding a public test screening in Texas. The audience gave the film middling reviews. Is that actually it? Because I have not found any evidence of the actual test screenings. So, I mean, I'm going to assume Variety has a source. I'm assuming this is a reliable source. But Marvel has never been in the business of being average. Kevin's real superpower, his genius, has always been in post-production and getting his hands on movies and making sure they finish strongly. The source adds, these days, he's spread thin. Feige declined to comment for this story. Feige isn't the only person showing signs of strain. Marvel's entire VFX battalion, including staffers and vendors, is struggling to keep pace with a never-ending stream of productions. We can tell that the VFX has been struggling in these movies. The source may not name themselves. They may not want to be named. Variety is a reliable publication. That's kind of like part of how they get reliable sources is if they want to be anonymous, they will say anonymous. It's just part of the reporting thing. This February, when the credits rolled at the world premiere of Quantumania, shock rippled through the Regency Village Theater at Westwood over some shoddy CGI. There were at least 10 scenes where the visual effects had been added to the last minute and were out of focus. You see, I mean, I thought Quantumania, I actually thought it looked okay. I mean, obviously, the one dude, thumb dude. What? I'm brain farting. Corey Stoll. Why am I brain farting? MODOK. MODOK looked funky, but, you were never going to get a MODOK that looks anything like the comic book that doesn't look funky. It was insane. I've never seen anything like that in my entire career. Everyone was talking about it. Even the kids of executives were talking about it. The schedule swap with the Marvels had left the Ant-Man sequel in a squeeze, pushing up its post-production schedule by 4.5 months. Marvel films are known for coming down to the wire, given Feige's ability to foam the runway and land the plane that way, says one executive familiar with how the company operates. But this level of unfinished was unprecedented, and would be noticed in scathing reviews when the tentpole with the $200 million budget opened 11 days after the premiere. Critics weren't the only ones dismayed. Fed up with the 14-hour days and no overtime, Marvel's VXF workers voted unanimously to unionize in September, sparking an industry-wide trend. Fucking based. Hell yeah, VFX workers. The year 2023 was the straw that broke the camel's back, says former Marvel Studios VFX assistant coordinator Anna George, who appeared before the Congressional Labor Caucus on October 19th to testify about the studio's untenable deadlines and working conditions. The pay and long hours at Marvel were the reason we had to start our unionization process there. The conditions were completely unsustainable. Disney's top brass included newly returned CEO Bob Iger, was said to be apoplectic about Marvel's VFX troubles 1 month after the Quantumania premiere debacle. The guillotine fell on Victoria Alonso, who oversaw the studio's physical production, post-production, VFX, and animation. While the reason cited for her abrupt firing was her unauthorized role as an executive producer in the Oscar-nominated film Argentina in 1985, insiders say Disney was incensed that quality control on Marvel Productions was plummeting, particularly on the ever-expanding TV front. The VFX logjam had been evident for some time, with some final effects for Disney Plus series as WandaVision and She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law inserted after their streaming debuts. That Alonso was busy promoting her art house project while Rome burned certainly didn't sit well with Disney's leadership. Alonso's attorney says her client is unable to make a comment. Okay, so like maybe there was a little bit of truth to the fact that they were kind of annoyed with the VFX stuff. And yeah, no, it was just kind of a combination of the two things. That's interesting. But some internal sources suggest Alonso was a scapegoat and point to the She-Hulk VFX issues as a symptom, not deeper rot. Namely, a lack of oversight on script development. In the original arc of She-Hulk, a flashback of star Tatiana Maslany's transformation into her Hulk character didn't take place until episode 8, the penultimate episode. But after Marvel's brain trust watched the footage, it realized the scene needed to happen in the pilot episode so that audiences could see more of the character's backstory early. That meant the VFX team was tasked with fixing the mess in post-production. I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of agree with the brain trust here. She-Hulk should have a transformation much earlier than that. The so-called bad VFX we see was because of the half-baked scripts, says one person involved with She-Hulk. That is not Victoria. That is Kevin. And even above Kevin, those issues should be addressed in pre-production. The timeline is not allowing the Marvel executives to sit with the material. All the while, Marvel was bleeding money with a single episode of She-Hulk costing some $25 million, dwarfing the budget of the final season episode of HBO's Game of Thrones. But without a similar zeitgeist bang, the August 2022 series premiere at the El Capitan Theater foreshadowed what would come 6 months later at the Quantumania bow. The She-Hulk special effects were out of focus in multiple scenes. Wow. So it sounds like they're premiering a lot of this stuff with special effects just out of whack. Like, She-Hulk, I thought, like, there were moments where the effects were funky, but I thought overall the effects in She-Hulk were fine. For all the people screaming about them, I thought, for the most part, they were fine. But it sounds like they were doing premieres way before they were ready to do them. And they got blasted for that. Which, honestly, they should be. They shouldn't be rolling it out before effects are done. And if the VFX people need more time to do the effects, they should give them more time because they're treating them like shit, frankly. Anyways. There are signs that the flood of product is leading people to tune out. I am not prepared to call it a permanent fall. But based on the numbers that go with Marvel's podcasts, Marvel-based articles, friends who do Marvel-based video coverage, all of these numbers are significantly down, says Joanna Robinson, co-author of the New York Times bestseller MCU The Reign of Marvel Studios, who is a writer and podcaster at The Ringer. The quality is suffering. In 2019, at the peak, if you put Marvel Studios in front of something, people were like, oh, that brand means quality. That association is no longer the case because there have been so many projects that felt half-baked and undercooked. As public criticism mounts, Feige is pulling the plug on scripts and projects that aren't working. Case in point, the Blade reboot, with Mahershala Ali, signed on for the eponymous role of a vampire. Things look promising for the 2023 release date, but the project has gone through at least 5 writers, 2 directors, and 1 shut down 6 weeks before production. One person familiar with the script permutations says the story at one point morphed into a narrative led by a woman and filled with life lessons. Blade was relegated to a 4th lead. A bizarre idea considering the studio had 2-time Oscar winner Ali on board. Yeah, that would be insane. I can't imagine getting Mahershala Ali to play lead Mahershala Ali to play Blade, which, by the way, I love that casting. Mahershala is a fantastic actor. And then giving him, like, the 4th lead, like, that's insane. Amid reports that Ali was ready to exit over script issues, Feige went back to the drawing board and hired Michael Green, the Oscar-nominated writer of Logan, to start anew. Speculation around town is that the studio is looking to make the film, now slated for 2025, on a budget of less than $100 million, a deviation from Marvel's big expanding strategy. Okay, I love that. Less than $100 million. Michael Green, who worked on Logan, which is a fucking great movie. That's a good sign for me. Like, it sucks they've had trouble getting it off the ground, but, like, if you're going to have troubles with a movie, you want it at this point. You want it before you're shooting. You want pre-production issues, and then you get all the issues fixed out for pre-production, and then, you just bang it out for the production and post-production. Because it's much harder to fix stuff in post-production, or even in production that isn't pre-production. Pre-production, everything can be changed. With Igor publicly acknowledging the downside of a Marvel TV glut that diluted focus and attention, the keepers of the comic book empire are considering some drastic moves. Sources say there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom were killed off in Endgame. I hate that. So, like, if you want to have some fun with a big Avengers movie, since we're doing multiverse, and maybe, like, have multiple Avengers from multiple universes working on something, and maybe have one of those universes just have to be the classic Avengers and bring them back for that piece, that would be fine. But, like, actually reviving Iron Man and Black Widow, the main universe MCU ones that we've seen, reviving them after dying in Endgame, I would hate that. And I also think it's important to move on from those characters. That's the thing, like, these new characters, like, a lot of Phase 4 has been introducing new characters and new situations, and we have yet to really have, like, a huge crossover. I mean, you had Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness in No Way Home, and then we have the Marvels with Photon and Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. But we haven't had, like, any huge crossovers yet this phase, and I'm actually kind of surprised we really haven't had any huge crossovers. Because that's kind of what Marvel's become known for at this point, doing all these multi-universes and doing big crossovers with them. Maybe that's the issue. That shouldn't be a stumbling block. In comic books, beloved characters are often killed off, only to be resurrected thanks to the power of things like multiverse. But the studio hasn't committed to that idea. If we're able to bring these actors back, it won't come cheap. Sources say Downey Jr.'s upfront salary for Iron Man 3 was around $25 million. Yeah. Will that solve Marvel's major problem? When the Quantumania actor was arrested in March, Disney executives insisted that they could afford to play a wait-and-see game, given that the Avengers Kang Dynasty wasn't expected to begin shooting until early 2024. But then Majors was dropped in quick succession by his publicist and managers. He remained a client at WME, the agency where he landed after CAA parted ways with him, pre-arrest for his brutal conduct towards staff, says one source. CAA declined to comment. In April, other alleged domestic violence crimes of Majors began cooperating with Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Then, ahead of the key hearing in October, media outlets, including Variety, obtained a court filing that referenced a police incident in London involving Majors that led his ex-girlfriend to seek medical attention. Making matters even stickier, the ex-girlfriend also worked on Quantumania as a movement coach. And the London incident took place while Majors was shooting Season 2 of Loki on October 25th. A New York judge denied Majors' motion to dismiss the case, which ensures that the actor will stand trial in late November. His legal team is attempting to keep some material in the case sealed. God, that doesn't sound good at all. A studio source notes that regardless of the actor's legal issues, Marvel already had considered moving away from Majors-led phase because of the box office performance of Quantumania, which will struggle to make a profit. Wow. Like, yeah, how much are they spending on shit? I mean, I know the budget's high, but Jesus. It gave people pause, given that Quantumania didn't exactly land, the source says, on October 27th. Disney removed another Majors film, Searchlight's Magazine Dreams, from the release calendar. Recasting Majors is also an option, as Feige did when he replaced Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2 with Don Cheadle. In fact, Marvel isn't afraid to change direction, even after making splashy announcements. Armor Wars was first unveiled to be a series, and is now developed as a feature film. While the studio's push to adapt the comic book Inhumans into a feature film generated headlines, but is now dormant. The now defunct Marvel television mounted an Inhumans TV series in 2017 that ran for one season on ABC. Whew. It's a longer article than I thought. Anyways, still, there's one bright spot. In 2023, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which became Marvel's biggest draw of the year, with $845 million worldwide. The fact that it was directed by James Gunn, the guy now running rival DC Studios, was lost on no one. James Gunn has been knocking it out of the park. Again, Guardians 3 is fantastic. With Marvel, it used to be as close to guarantee as you could ever get, says Paul, oh my god, what is that name? Durgarbedian? A box office analyst at ComScore. So going all in on the budgets made sense. Guardians 3 was a bit overlooked in how successful it was, but that had James Gunn and Chris Pratt. I think star power is becoming more important. Then there was Quantumania with $476 million. Anything under $500 million is viewed as a disappointment. I guess, yeah, I could see that. So, like, they're so used to just having so many winners with Marvel that, like, suddenly, like, all of a sudden, if they make less money, they're going to view them as disappointments. It's wild. But, I mean, honestly, it's the type of thing you get from big studios. It gets dumb. And frankly, in my opinion, like, Ant-Man 3. Like, the Ant-Man movies have not been thrilling. Like, the first one was pretty solid, and then the second one was and the third one was again. Like, I don't think they're bad, but, like, they don't thrill me. They're pretty forgettable. Anyways. So, like, the idea that Ant-Man Quantumania had to make over $500 million is just insane. It just blows my mind that you would plan for Ant-Man to like, guarantee $500 million. Say Ant-Man. Come on. The key to reinvigorating Marvel may lie with the superhero arsenal that Disney acquired during its 2019 purchase of 21st Century Fox. That deal brought several blue-chip heroes such as the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, back under the studio's control. Already fans are geeking out about the next year's Deadpool 3, which unites Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a mouth with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and a reboot of Fantastic Four slated for 2025. As a bonus, the Fox editions give Feige an opportunity to reimagine the X-Men franchise, the very property he cut his teeth on as a young executive at Lauren Schuler's Donner's production company. Yes! I think his first credit as a producer might have been X2. That seems familiar. Anyways. Now that the WGA strike is in the rearview mirror, Marvel has started talking to writers about bringing the X-Men into the MCU fold. While Feige recalibrates, the rest of the industry is anxiously hoping that Marvel's best days are not behind it. Writing the Marvel obituary would be ill-advised, says Jason Squire, professor emeritus at... Oh my god. I'm terrible with words. At USC School of Cinematic Arts and host of the Movie Business Podcast. Kevin Feige is the Babe Ruth of movie executives, and Marvel has the most prolific track record in movie history. No question. Alright, is that it? Okay, I thought that was interesting. So that's the whole article that everybody's, they're going to pull their little clickbait articles and stuff like that on. That's the original article it pulls from. I kind of wish we kind of knew who the source was, like their connection, but I understand why they can't reveal it. The studio having freakouts because, apparently Marvel has to always make $1 billion movie, or $500 million movie seems insane. Especially after they strained Marvel, doing all the Disney Plus stuff in one, it felt like they were like, okay, Marvel makes money, so let's do 1 billion Marvel things. All of a sudden, 1 billion Marvel things happening that, Marvel's getting stretched out, people are getting burnt out. And it's like, well, why isn't it as successful as it once was? Well, no shit, you just did 1 billion Marvel things. People have seen it all before. I think it's an interesting article. At the end of the day, I don't know if we learn. I guess, it mainly seems to put things in perspective. Because, the conclusion of this article is hey, Marvel's might be in trouble. It's not even conclusively Marvel's in trouble in this. It just might be in trouble. There's definitely issues. But if anybody can recover, it's Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. That seems to be the whole conclusion. The whole conclusion of this article. So, yeah. I thought this was interesting. I think this Blade news is probably the most exciting to me. We talked about this a little bit because DJ had read part of this before we did Initiative stream yesterday. But this Blade news, we're going to make a movie for less than $100 million. And it's going to be a Logan Rider. That sounds fantastic to me. I just want a darker, cooler Blade movie. Just like a simple street level Blade movie. Blade on the street fighting fucking vampires. Fuck yeah. I want that. But yeah, you know what? This is an interesting article to read. I might do this more often. We're just opening up a stream of research, guys. But it's just good to go over that.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.